Aizan. Aizan. Izan Kimemi, the Chief Judge of Bayelsa State, ably represented, the Chairman, NBA Sagbama Chapter, Sagbama Branch. I adopt the established protocol. I am meant to speak on implementation of natural resources exploitation laws in Nigeria. However, we're supposed to be looking at the conflicting decisions of courts, the role of the NBA, that is under which this topic is. And I've scribbled a few things as preambles. My presence in your midst today is to underscore my sincere belief in the pivotal role lawyers, both members of the bench and bar, have to play in having to have that organized, beautiful country where there is justice and respect for environmental and human rights, where citizens will not only aspire, but easily attain their full potential in a robust, bustling economy. If you ask me, I would say it is a great and audacious stride, a bold stride, a great leap, call it a pace-setting leap, which the Sagbama branch of NBA has taken in gathering all and sundry in this globalized world in its 9th law week to discuss a theme such as the conflicting decisions of courts, the role of NBA. Don't they deserve a pat on the back, or at least a wink? I believe, and sincerely too, that it is audacious, bold, and even revolutionary, because the said malady or disease can be cured by lawyers, and lawyers only. And for the pace setters in this revolutionary effort at resetting this country of ours to be numbered amongst lawyers in our own Sagbama branch of NBA gives me unquantifiable joy. I am so glad. Everyone here will agree with me that, like everyone else, those who are trained to cure diseases, the medical doctors, and are unfortunately also helpless in this case. They are also vulnerable victims of the special type of disease inflicted upon us. My respected members of the Nigerian bar and bench, ladies and gentlemen, this is my way of applauding the efforts of NBA Sagbama Branch as it underscores the fact that change could start from anywhere as long as one starts doing something about it in one's own little sphere, in one's own little way. It is said that just to do your bit well, because you may never know how far it would help the situation. Let me also give profuse thanks to the leadership of NBA Sagbama Branch and the Law Week Planning Committee for inviting me to share my thoughts with the world through this audience. Onwa. Okay, so that is my opening preamble. I was born at Otuabagi a long time ago. Otuabagi is where the first commercially viable oil well was drilled in Nigeria. I went to live as a young man at the refinery quarters immediately after the war. And for most of my life then, I worked on the naked pipelines to my primary school at Okrika and back on a daily basis. That lasted about 6 years. And the distance is about 4 kilometers. Those pipelines bordered my primary school in front, and behind my primary school was the Okrika, or the refinery jet at the Arabian Peninsula. So I was distracted in front by the pipelines each time I had to come out of class, and then distracted by the ships, those loud horns, anytime I was in class. I left Okrika or Eleme and came to where they call Itokopri, where the College of Health Tech is today. That was the pioneer Shell's operational base, operational headquarters in Nigeria. So after the war, it became a secondary school, and so it became my secondary school. I used to tell people that I met the oil and gas industry at that time, still dripping fresh, the atrocities still dripping fresh. And so I saw everything because I went everywhere. That aside, I eventually went to the Nigerian Defense Academy and became a military combatant of the 38th Regular Corps. And then today, I live in Banantoro, one of Shell's oil fields, with so much of gas. And the most intimidating gas flare is within a kilometer's radius from my palace where I live. Now that is my story, and I thought I should start this way as far as this thing is concerned. Do I really have a knowledge of law? I know of in-laws, I have them. I know of outlaws, they are there. And then, of course, the law. So that is how much I know of the law. But why do we have to have a law? For me, should be the first question. And the law is meant to streamline things, to make people behave in a particular way. That is supposed to be the motive. So before the resources laws, I know of a law, it's called Decree 51 of 1969, that Gowon promulgated. The objective was to dispossess the people of the Niger Delta of their God-given oil and gas resources. I think that was a law. And then in 2007, there was a law enacted, the Nigerian Minerals Mining Act 2007. And if you look at it, it's a fairly interesting law because it gives the persons in whose environment those solid minerals are, it makes them human, gives them certain rights, makes them human, make them feel comfortable as human beings who are contributing to Nigeria's economy. Now, from that 1969 through to the 70s of oil boom, and much later, particularly in the 90s, the Nigerian state started getting hot around the Niger Delta with respect to oil and gas exploitation and the skewed way in which the benefit was being used in Nigeria. And that trend went on until 98 particularly. The government at the time, the military junta, got what is called the JTF, Joint Task Force of the military and police and everyone, to come and ensure that there was no longer oil bunkering, oil pipeline vandalism, and so on and so forth. So far, they've lasted 25 years, and things have not really changed for the better. And for well over 20 years, people felt that living the oil industry the way it has been was not fair. So let us get a law that will streamline things, and perhaps you and I may have a need to smile. And so the processes of getting a law started, because I told you there's a need to know why the law in the first place. So the processes started. And from the records we have, it took well over 20 years before we got something that is called a law. It is, in brief, tagged PIA 2021. So in 2021, we got a new law, a Petroleum Act, which, if you examine properly, you want to ask, is this law intended to solve any problem? Is it intended at making us, those of us on whose ancestral land this oil is drilled, to have a sense of belonging? The answer really is no. It dehumanizes us. It keeps us completely out of it and attends just to the oil industry. I will give you a few examples because I had also taken the pain to look at that law and the one we want to call the Solid Minerals Act before. And you can see that they are radically different. While the other one humanizes the persons on whose land it is found, this other one dehumanizes, in fact, demonizes the persons on whose land it is found. And one of such clauses will be that the man from the Kochama Kingdom, for instance, or the man from Nembese, for instance, or the man from Bahrain, for instance, or the man from anywhere in the Niger Delta where there is oil, will not be entitled to benefit if in every given year, in any given year, there is any form of stoppage of work, pipeline vandalism, kidnap of oil worker, or anything whatsoever that disrupts the work. And I want to say, was this law passed by human beings? Were our people there? Was it intended at solving a problem? And I've been more vocal than ever before on this subject over the years, before it was passed and since after. And that is why today, I hope you will understand with me in case my voice changes. And what does it say? It says that you can't get benefits. And I was like, why would you say so? Because to say so means that we are the ones that have been vandalizing. We are the ones that have been kidnapping. We are the ones that have been stopping everything. And if the Joint Task Force of military experts, police experts, DSS experts, fire brigade, Red Cross, mention them, short of adding NBA, if they are all part of that body, and for 25 years, this thing is worsening, so professionals are not able to do that job, you want to put the burden on me, a king, a traditional ruler, or a youth, or a pregnant woman from the oil-producing area to take responsibility for disruption of work? How callous can that be? Anyway, some years ago, I think precisely 2006 or so, we were all in the Kochama Kingdom. And then one early morning, boats came by my town and then abducted a European from an oil site. Later in the day, it was heard that they took him to somewhere in Delta State, and that the boats actually came from Delta State, which means people can come from Cameroon to Nembe, for instance, and abduct somebody and disappear. As a matter of fact, the oil industry can arrange for someone to be abducted just so that they don't pay. The oil industry has sabotaged their own industry for gains, and it is well known. So why would this burden be placed on me or on us? All these are part of the background towards the law. And then, the law also says, when you compare it to the Solid Minerals Act, for instance, like I said, while the other one allows you to listen to the people, if they say don't do it here, you won't do it there. But in our own case, no one listens to anybody. As a matter of fact, we are voiceless. We're not supposed to talk. So, you have pipelines in Kurama, that's your town, right? You have pipelines in Kurama, in Sayers community, passing through his village. So one half of the village is on this side, the pipeline is passing through the middle, and then in Oboloma, similar through the village, it is short of saying that pipelines pass between our legs, crisscrossing everywhere. There is no human face to that law. Now, so if there is no human face to that law, and some of us have described this as an anti-people law from beginning, how do you implement an anti-people law and then it becomes useful to the people? It becomes a question. Though because of politics, some persons were arguing at that time that, 3% is bigger than whatever, and so 3% is so much, and 3% is so much, and so on and so forth. But you and I know that there was a time when it was 50%. And so why should 3% even be an issue? And I said, why are people interested in percentages and percentiles? Why should we? We should look at the real substance, the mathematical substance of this law, and see how best it could serve us. So, after the PIA, after like a year or so, the Host Communities Development Trust, which is one of the vehicles that is supposed to help with implementing it in a manner that our lives will change, such that if you go and meet members of NBA Sagbama and you put your hands in their pocket, you will see wads of money. Anywhere you go, just see money everywhere. So they started that Host Community Development Trust. The law also made it such that the settlor, as the oil company, for instance, is still much bigger, stronger, more important than any community or any group of communities. By the way, you may need to know that my kingdom, Barai Kingdom, Bomo Kingdom, some parts of River State, close to 15 kingdoms in Ijaw land, are part of an oil block, oil field, that is called OML 28. So OML 28 is an oil field that belongs to somebody or a group of persons that are not from any of these kingdoms. As a matter of fact, they do not have a need to come there because they can't stay there overnight because of course, the environment. So such is what it is. Our kingdoms, our communities are people's business concerns, and the law still upholds it. As a matter of fact, for most of my life, I did not know that my kingdom was someone else's business concern. And I believe most of you here do not know that all your kingdoms, all your communities are business concerns of institutions like Shell and Chevron and Agi and Mobil and Elf and name them. And the main actors are never from your part of the world. As a matter of fact, you will be glad if they ever visit your kingdom for once. When the Nebe spill was taking place, that particular one that had to do with ATO, did anyone see the ATO man? He never came. He sent a few Indomie noodles, as palliatives. And since then, nothing else is heard. What did we hear? Sabotage. And I've been shouting my head off. Sabotage by who? Let's have the name of the saboteur. You can't just say sabotage. There must be a saboteur. With Navy there, Army there, Police there, Air Force there, everyone there. Saboteur. Nobody sees the saboteur a ghost. It's a clever way of taking bribe and just putting the blame on the fall guys. We've always been the fall guys. So, Host Community Development Trust is now the in thing. And it's been formed in many places. I think the coastal areas are still having challenges. So in my own area, there is a Host Community Development Trust in place. Has it been run for us? Why not? It has been run for us. So people are fighting to the left, fighting to the right. Who should be inside, who shouldn't be inside. And in all of these, if lawyers are involved, they are on one side or the other side. I'm thinking that there should be something about ethics in this profession, because if you don't get it right, the whole country will go ablaze. So, the Host Community Development Trust has been formed in most places. Some funded, like the one in my place is already funded. When people heard that it has been funded, it has been life or death. We must dislodge you. We must remove you. We must cut your something. We must cut your something. And that's what has been going on. And like I said before, there are lawyers there and lawyers there. So the fire is on. Why should we leave this 4 billion? That is what's in my kingdom now. 4 billion naira. Why should we let this 4 billion naira to be managed with this man as chief? We must cut it something. That is what is going on. Anyway, so the Host Community Development Trust is having such money now. Before the Host Community Development Trust, before this law, we had, in the space of about 10 years, 5 billion naira expended, used up, and some of the Shell workers at the lowest level were involved in this process. We are riding power bikes. I just told their Oga today because I had some guests in my palace this morning. Don't hear. 5 this morning. Anyway, so 5 billion naira expended. Nothing really to show. Like I said, the lowest Shell worker who was working there was riding power bike. You know how much a power bike? From 6 million and above. That is, in fact, when they eventually sacked him, because his name was found in my village's account. So eventually he was arrested together with his colleague by me. He paid bribe to the police, 250 each of them, got out. I got the account statement. I wrote to Shell and threatened I was going to write a book about it. And they sacked them the following day. He is the one that told me that an ordinary clerk I've been now, and they see me, so I'm not a big man. Anyway, because I have a short time here, but still on this, we must understand that 70 years of oil and gas exploitation in the Niger Delta has largely changed us. The fabrics of our communities, our society is completely destroyed. So if you assume that if I bring $1 billion into this hall now, and because we have judges and lawyers and high chiefs and so on, everybody will just be civil and queue up and take small. Exactly. You can see the answer. It won't happen. It won't happen. So why would people expect that when you bring in such monies to a people that Shell has used, divide and conquer for 70 years, taking all of theirs, taking their fishes away, taking their farms away, taking everything away and built Abuja and Lagos and every other city in this country except, of course, my own kingdom? Why would you expect me to behave well? So if your law did not factor my likely behavior, and if members of the NBA will also not look at what is ethical and just take sides here and there, so long as there will be money for school fees, then I wonder if this 2021 PIA will ever serve us. I don't think it will. We've been pushing for the review of those clearly anti-human clauses, and I know that those who passed it, who enacted it, knew that once it is passed, it will take a lifetime for any change to take place. And so it was deliberate. So what I'm saying here is that the law was deliberately done that way so that it will continue to cause crisis in this part of the world. Finally, just as an aside, is for me to recall something that happened before this era of laws, but after Decree 51. It came to a time when you must have all heard of the Halliburton scandal. Halliburton scandal indicted 88 Nigerians, from group damaging directors to heads of government, to governors of states, to permanent secretaries of the Federation, 88 of them. If you Google it now, you will still see their names. They are not spirits. Not one was arrested. Their international collaborators were eventually arrested. There's one, Jeffrey Tesla, that was jailed. One of the Kellogg's, Ogakota was jailed. And eventually their company was made to pay $2 billion as penalty. And then when they rationed these monies, some were due Nigerians. $200 million were due Nigerians. And then 4 SANs went to repatriate these monies. And you know what they did with those monies? They stole them. Thank you.